Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Chelsea. This is Hudson, he's baby number 6, and this video is going to be his birth story. He's making little grunts at me over here. Yeah. So anyway, I was wanting to share like maybe a birth vlog with you guys, but when the day came, I did not vlog anything except for his actual birth, which I'm just gonna keep for me and my family. At the end of this video, I'm hoping to maybe get some pictures of labor and birth put at the end with like some music. That's my goal. We'll see if that happens, if I can get that edited on here. But anyway, so that way you guys can kind of get a glimpse into that day visually without, you know, sharing him being born for all of YouTube to see. So anyway, that's that little tidbit of info for you there. But I thought I could still sit down and share his birth story. I've done that for 3 of my other kiddos so far. I still have my 2 oldest to share their story on here. And it's fun to have all that recorded, to be able to go back and look. He's been silent till now. Now he's grunting. Especially his right now, because it'll be so fresh on my mind. So it'll be fun to go back and watch like a year later and hear me talk about it. And this way you guys get to know how the day went down also. So he is our 6th baby, like I said. He is our first home birth, but I've had all my babies with a midwife, and I've had them all naturally, meaning vaginally, and no pain medications or interventions of that kind. I have been induced a couple of times, but other than that, no interventions. That was for health reasons. So anyway, with him, we decided to go with a home birth. It was just something that I felt like God had really put on my heart when I found out I was pregnant with him. And I had never really in the past considered it, because I thought if I had to transfer, I don't want to be transferred to my hospital here in my town. And the other hospital is about 45 minutes away. So that's what held me back in the past. But after researching it more, I felt confident in my midwife's ability to decide when I need to transfer and do that in enough time to probably get me to the hospital I birthed my other babies at. And if not, I just trusted that the Lord would take care of everything if I had to go to the one here in town. I also had a very uncomplicated pregnancy. I didn't have any issues. I have had preeclampsia before, so I do lots of things to prevent that. But otherwise, this pregnancy was very uncomplicated. I did have a lot of nausea throughout the whole thing. Feels really good to not be nauseous now, but no health concerns. So anyway, that's why we chose a home birth this go around. It just felt like the right thing to do. Didn't take us very long to decide, and then we picked a midwife. So that's just a little background info for if you're new. I will get started now with his birth story for those of you who aren't new and you're just ready to get to it, right? So I had him at 39 weeks and 5 days, which is the longest I have ever been pregnant by just 3 days. But you know, the end of pregnancy, those last few weeks feel forever. So I felt like I was pregnant so long past my normal. And the day I had him, it was July 12th. And I woke up that morning just feeling kind of whiny. I had, you know, tried all the little like walking and meditation and all these like natural ways to help your body go into labor, and none of it was working. So I woke up that morning, it was a Friday, and I woke up and I'm in the living room and I get dressed and everything, and I remember telling Aaron and the kids, I'm like, I'm not even going to do the things I would normally do on Friday, because I'll have all weekend to do them, because I'm obviously never going to have this baby, because Friday's usually my busy go get all my errands and my shopping done day. I said, I'll have all weekend, because he's never going to come. He's just going to be in there forever. So I'm not even going to do those today. And I said, I'm going to go on my walk, even though we know it won't do anything. I'm just going to go on my walk anyway, because why not, you know? But I wasn't feeling any contractions or any signs of labor approaching. So I was kind of being whiny. So I go on my walk, probably at about 10 in the morning, and nothing. Didn't make anything happen. No contractions. No anything. Went on my walk. Came back home, and I remember I just was kind of, I had cleaned a lot the day before, so I was kind of sore, not like I felt like labor was coming, just 9 months pregnant, and I decided to tackle a big cleaning project sore. So I thought I'm gonna lay down for just a minute. So I laid down for a minute, and then I thought, oh yes, oh stretch, there you go, stretch it out. And then I thought, well, I'm gonna get up and straighten up the kitchen and cook lunch for everybody before my husband needs to go to work. So I got up and I started cleaning up the kitchen a little bit and making some spaghetti for lunch because I really didn't feel like cooking, and that's so simple. So I'm getting all that going and I'm putting away dishes. And I remember squatting down trying to get my Instant Pot back in the cabinet it goes in and thinking, this deep squat's not even gonna do anything because I'm squatting, you know, down to do that. And it didn't. So anyway, got back up, keep making spaghetti. The spaghetti is done. And I get into my fridge to get out some cheese for the kids to put on their spaghetti. And as I'm opening up that cheese drawer, my water breaks. And I've never had my water break until pushing, except for the 2 times I was induced, I did have it broken for me. So I'm not used to it. And it wasn't a huge gush, but it was enough to know that it was not me peeing, because you know, end of pregnancy, sometimes baby kicks, you might leak a little bit. I knew it wasn't that. I could tell it was my water. It was the weirdest feeling because I'm used to a big gush during pushing, like right before baby, you know, comes out, big gush. So it was the weirdest thing, and I just stand there and I'm looking and water just going, and it was good and clear, so I knew we were good there. And I just say, guys, my water broke. And everyone's like, what? What? And Aaron's like, right now? And I'm like, yeah, my water's breaking. So everyone's, you know, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. And just anxious nerves, y'all. Like, I was so excited, but like anxious because I've never had it break on its own. And sometimes women have their water break and they still do not go into labor, and they end up having to go and be, you know, induced anyway. So I was kind of a little nervous that I wasn't contracting at all. So I'm like, you know, just hand me my phone. I'm going to call my midwife and see what she wants me to do. So I call my midwife. Her name is Anne. And I called Anne and I said, hey, you know, I'm 99% sure this is my water. She's like, are you sure? Because a lot of women pee and they think, I'm like, no, I wasn't peeing. As I'm standing here talking to you, my sandals are filling up with water because it just kept like trickling down. And she's like, okay, any contractions? And I'm like, no, I feel perfectly fine. I don't feel any sign of labor other than my water leaking. And she was like, have you had lunch? No. She said, well, you need to eat lunch and then just try to take a nap because there's a chance you'll be having a baby sometime tonight, and you want to, you know, be rested and have nutrients. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, she tells me call her if I need her, or if, you know, I start contracting, just keep her updated. So I say, okay. And she lets me know, you know, if I don't start contracting within 24 hours, then we'll make a game plan of what to do. So I'm like, all right. So then I text my mom, and I tried to call my mom because she's always like my doula during birth, and she's my mom, to let her know, and she's not answering. And I'm like, this is so weird because, you know, end of pregnancy, everyone's watching their phones, and she's always like answers immediately. So I'm like, well, okay. So I didn't feel like spaghetti. I was too excited. I couldn't think of anything to eat. I was just too excited and nervous. So Aaron made me like a protein shake, and I just kind of sipped on it. I was also kind of nauseous just because that's been my pregnancy, so it was hard for me to try to drink it, but I just kind of tried to sip on it, and I got in bed, turned on Andy Griffith because we've been watching that lately to go to bed at night. We've been watching Andy Griffith, and just laid there, and I tried to go to sleep, but you know, it's like trying to go to sleep before Christmas. You're waiting for something to happen, you're excited knowing something's probably going to happen, and I couldn't sleep. But I did lay there, and my water broke at 1:22, by the way. You know, so it's 1:22 in the afternoon, and at exactly I think exactly 2:22, I had my first contraction. And so I'm still in bed, trying to sip on that and watching TV and just being excited, talking to the kids and talking to Aaron. Then I finally did get a hold of my mom and let her know my water broke, and she's like, oh my gosh, when do you want me to come? And I told her, well, let me start having contractions first. So at about 2:22, I started having contractions, and they were just, you know, the mild early labor. I had one, and I did tell my midwife, I said, hey, contraction, I'll let you know. I had one, and then 10 minutes later, I had another one. But then after that, the next one was 8 minutes later, and then the next one was 8 minutes later, and then the next one was just 6 minutes later. And I thought, okay, that's kind of, usually you'll do 10 minutes for like an hour, you know, and let it build up. And when I had the one that was only 6 minutes later, the first one that was like that, it hurt bad enough where I told Aaron, I said, after this contraction's over, I have to get out of bed because I do not sit still during labor. I can't, if I'm in pain, I have to be up. I can't be in pain and lay down. That's why I don't do water births and get in the water in labor, because I can't. I feel trapped and claustrophobic. I need to sway and move and squat and kneel and all those things. So I told him after this one contraction, I have to get out of bed before the next one. I can't lay here through this anymore. So I told my midwife, you know, hey, I can't lay through these anymore. I am getting up. I let my mom know. So I got up, and of course when I get up, I have, you know, more water coming out. And if you really want a good birth story, that's when I started having, I started losing my mucus plug. It was my first pregnancy that I had not lost that weeks prior to birth. I usually lose that a good couple of weeks, like in pieces before, and I hadn't. So I started losing that and having a little bit of bloody show. So I knew, I was like, okay, things are progressing, because every time I'm losing water, I'm also losing mucus plug and bloody show. So I, you know, sit on my ball, and I have a couple more that are 6 minutes apart, and then they get to 3 minutes apart. And I told my midwife at 3:30ish, maybe a little before 3:30, I said I'd feel a lot better if you just came and looked at me, not check me for a cervical exam, because my water had already broken, and that can, you know, increase your chance of getting bacteria and germs up where you don't want them. So I didn't want her to check me, but just come and check on me. And she said, okay, you know, I'm on my way, and she's an hour away from me. And I did tell my mom, you know, yeah, I would go ahead and come over. I'm really bad in labor at knowing when I need help. I tend to go from, like, I just fly through transition. I'll go from a 4 or 5 to done very quickly, but it sometimes takes me a minute or, you know, a little bit to get to that 4. So I just told them both, go ahead and come, because we both know I will say I'm fine and 2 minutes later be pushing. So just, yeah, come. So I said that at 3:30, and they weren't super painful. I could tell they were progressing. It wasn't, you know, as easy as the first, and they were staying 3 minutes apart. Melissa and Natalie timed them for me. I would just like hold up my finger when one started and then give them a thumbs up when one stopped. I tried not to acknowledge it too much and be like, oh, here's one, oh, here's one, because I try not to think about it more than I have to for pain reasons. So they followed me around the house. If I went to the bathroom, they stood by the bathroom door, so they would know when I would have one, because I would usually, at this point, no, I was still just breathing through them, so I probably told them, here's one. But they followed me all around. It was really cute. And my mom shows up, and she's just talking, and we're just watching TV and talking, and I would breathe through them, you know, just deep breaths through the contraction. They were all a minute apart from like the get-go. Not a minute apart, a minute long from the get-go. So they were good ones from the beginning. And then my midwife got here a little after 4 and set all of her stuff up, and I'm still just in the same amount of pain, just like a moderate. I would rate it at like a 4 pain-wise, but that depends on your pain tolerance, I guess. Just still breathing. I was having to concentrate a little harder by the time the midwife got here. I'd have to close my eyes, whereas before I could kind of like, you know, and talk a little bit and have my eyes open and be part of the conversation. By the time she got here, I was kind of like closing my eyes and really concentrating. And then, like a lot of laboring women do, I kind of wanted a more quiet space. My midwife, her assistant, and my mom were all down here talking, and I was getting to where I couldn't be a part of the conversation anymore. And of course I could have said, hey guys, be quiet. But instead I just went upstairs, and my kids followed me, but they were all so quiet. I know one of my mom's friends had called my mom and was wondering, is her house too loud to really have a good labor in with all the kiddos there? And my mom replied back, you know, oh, this is the most quiet house I've ever been in, because my kids were just all very attentive, very respectful. They knew what was going on. They were just all, what can I, you know, get you, and staying quiet. So that was good. So I went upstairs. Aaron was up there. The kids were all kind of doing their own thing. The little girls were playing and checking on me. Liam was playing and checking on me. And my big girls were just sitting by my side, timing my contractions, and just kind of watching me. And Aaron was upstairs just being quiet, and he would wait till I'd have a contraction, and he would come and rub my back for me or rub my head. Oh, my battery's dying. Okay, I had to change my battery. So when I would have a contraction, Aaron he was sitting in the living room with me, and he would start rubbing my back, rubbing my head, and all that. And then I remember telling Melissa, hey, I need you to go get my headphones so I can listen to some like positive birthing affirmations. If you're interested in that, I can try to link the playlist that I used here on YouTube down below. They are wonderful. They help a lot. So before labor and during. So anyway, because at this point I am leaning against the back of my couch. I have my knees on my couch, and I'm having to groan through them. And this is between, it's getting close to 5. My midwife got here at 4 something. So this is around 5:30 that I am having to kind of groan through some of these. Just moan, I guess would be a better word. I am moaning, just you know, because that just helps with the pain. And I would also be deep breathing during it. So breathing, moaning. So Alyssa goes and gets my headphones for me while Aaron's kind of rubbing my back. And I put those in and I just keep breathing, moaning through a couple more. They're like 3 minutes apart still. They did that up till the very end, and then of course, you know, got closer. So anyway, yeah, 3 minutes apart, moaning, groaning, breathing, had my headphones in for just a few contractions, maybe like 15 minutes worth. And then at about, I don't know, 6:30-ish, 6 o'clock, I thought, you know, I need to go to the bathroom. It did not feel like baby, which I know a lot of times it does, and I'm really actually bad at that. So Aaron follows me to the bathroom, stands at the door, and because we just don't trust me. Sometimes I think I have to go to the bathroom and it's a baby. I've had a baby in the bathroom. So I told him I really am pretty sure. I also, at about 5, had tried to eat a snack because I couldn't finish my protein shake. I'm backtracking, sorry guys. I had half of an apple and a cheese stick. So I'm like, I think I have to go to the bathroom, and since I did snack, I want to try to go to the bathroom because I have never gone to the bathroom during pushing before, and I did not want to have that happen for a first time. Again, TMI, but it's a birth story. That's what you get. So I go to the bathroom, and I was able to go just a tiny bit, but not really. And my contractions were really picked up once I sat on that toilet. So Aaron's at the door, and it's like partly closed. My mom's like, can I just come in? You know, I was like, yeah, y'all can come in, it's fine. And I could tell that things, I was like, okay, yeah, it's almost baby time. This is about 6:30. Having really good ones, and my midwife, my mom goes and gets her and says, hey, come look at her, you know, see what you think, just look at her face. I think you can tell she's probably hitting transition. So my midwife comes in and she's like, yeah, hey, do you feel pushy? And I'm like, no, but you know, I can tell it's getting there. And she's like, well, can we go? Do you think you can make it somewhere where we have more room, other than just my bathroom, which is not that huge? And I have me, my mom, Aaron, my midwife, her assistant. And I'm like, yeah. And it's funny because I don't actually remember walking from my bathroom to my room. We came back in here to my room. And it was so funny later. I was like, I don't remember. I remember you asking me. And I remember being in my room, but I don't remember walking back into the room. So we get back to the room. I guess it went well. I made it here. And I had one of my dining room chairs in here for like my mom, I think, to sit on. Earlier, she was like rubbing my feet, and while I was on the birthing ball at the beginning of labor, sitting in that chair. So anyway, I don't know why I sit on that when I have recliners and beds and couches, but I sat on this dining room chair and just kind of leaned back, and this is about 6:30, and just had some more good ones, groaning, moaning, breathing. My midwife and mom were great, and Aaron. He just kept rubbing my shoulders and all kinds of stuff, and my mom would cool my face with a cloth, and my midwife just kept, when I'd have a contractions, I would tense up my shoulders, which is a big thing you learn, you know, lower your shoulders. And she would see me do that, and she said, Chelsea, relax those shoulders. So I would just let them drop, and it helped a lot. And I would lean my head back and just breathe and moan through each one. And they said they knew when I was done with one because I'd bring my head back up, and then the next one I'd you know, lean my head back again. And I kind of had a sore neck after that. And then I remember saying, you know, this is uncomfortable in this hard chair, I want to move. So they put a little blanket down for my knees because I like to lean on my birth ball. So we put a folded up blanket, because I have tile floor, down so I could lean on my birth ball, and they really kicked into gear. And this is about 7 probably. So they kick into gear real good then, and I have, you know, keep having them. No one's timing them at this point. We quit timing. My girls did around 6:30. So I don't know how close together they were, but I could tell they were closer than 3 minutes. And I could tell he was moving down. You know, she would check his heart rate, and it's right before I started pushing, she couldn't even get it anymore. He was too far down there. And what's funny is almost the whole labor, every single time before I would have a contraction, he would wiggle. So it was like a warning, like he would move, boom, contraction. It was like he was warning me, like, get ready, here's another one, mom, we're about to do it again. So I'm leaning on my birth ball. My midwife is stroking my hair when I lean on one way. For some reason, I'd always turn my head when I had a contraction. So then I'd look at my midwife, have a contraction, I'd be looking at my mom. And when I would turn my head to look at my mom, I wasn't really looking, I had my eyes closed, but she would rub it with a cool cloth, and Aaron was standing in front of my birth ball facing me, and just, he would rub my head. I love head rubs. And sometimes in labor I hate to be touched, but for some reason I did not hate to be touched during this labor. I thought all the touching was great. When my midwife would do this with my hair, I thought it felt nice. When my mom would rub my face with a cloth, I thought it felt nice. When Aaron would rub my head, it felt nice. The kids came and patted me. I enjoyed that. And a lot of times during labor, I will be like, don't touch me during a contraction, go away. But for some reason, it just really helped. I would just kind of, okay, yes, we're fine. This feels nice, we're okay. So that was really nice. And I don't want to forget any details. I don't want to forget any of it. It's so, you know, nice. At one point, all my kids kind of lined up on, I have a couch down here. And I'm facing this way towards my fireplace. My couch is on that end and all my kids are sitting on it, and I labored in like this black robe, and I had an adult diaper on during it to catch all my water that was leaking. But all my kids are on the couch kind of behind me, and Aaron had gone back there to check on them, and I remember being like, where is Aaron? I need his hand. I need him to come hold my hand. So he came back up here and held my hand, and that, like, the second he put his hand in my hand was my first kind of like, not baby crowning push, but it was, I felt like a push to finish getting him down like the canal. That's what it felt like, because they gave a good just internal push, and my midwife, you know, checks, she lifted up my robes, and I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything because I could tell you kind of pushed. And I said, yeah, you know, but there's nothing. And I think it was just helping him finish his last little dip to get down there, because then after that I started pushing. Cannot tell you the exact time I started pushing. I know there was 4 or 5 pushes all together, including that first kind of just internal, just to help him finish, finish getting down there is what it felt like to me. So I grab Aaron's hand and I do that first push, and they had to rip off my little adult diaper, well, my big adult diaper, to check and make sure he wasn't coming. Liam came up to the front of the ball with Aaron, and he was so sweet. I didn't even know he was there when I was in labor at all, Liam. I went back and watched the video that I do have, and he just sits right by that ball, and he strokes my shoulder, and he does not move, like, for the longest time until the very end, because I did make a little bit of noise. He backed up a little bit. But he was so sweet sitting there, and all my girls stayed at the couch, because I ended up delivering him kind of how I delivered Aria. I was leaned on my birth ball, but then I ended up kind of sitting back and just kind of squatting on my knees to push part of the time. So anyway, the girls are behind me, the boys are in front of me, my mom's patting my face. I do that one initial push, and then I kind of had a little bit of a break, a couple of minutes, where it was nice, you know, at the end you almost like fall asleep. You stretching, you stretching. Almost fall asleep sitting on that ball, and my midwife, you know, and mom would say, yes, that's good, take your break, just enjoy this break. And Aaron's rubbing my head, and it's actually very relaxing. And then I felt him coming, and that's when I just kind of instinctively, instead of leaning on the ball or being on all fours like I did with Aria, I just for some reason instinctively got off the ball to where I'm squatting but not on my feet. I have my knees on the ground, and give a real good push. And but his head did not come all the way out. It came out far enough, and my midwife said, yes, his head is here, you know, reach up, you can feel it. And so normally when I'm pushing, and my midwives, I've had a different midwife in the past, but when my other midwife would say it, I think, I don't care, just move, I want to keep pushing, I want to be done. But for some reason this time I went ahead and I reached, and I could feel his little head, just the little circle of head, and I went ahead and I pushed again, and you guys, I'm getting goosebumps all over my arm, because it's the first time, make myself cry, that I've like helped my baby be delivered. I got hormones, y'all. So I could feel his little head, and when I did that other push, you know, after I could feel his little circle of his head, I keep my hand there, and I pushed again, and I could feel the rest of his head come out, and I'm holding it like this, you know, with my hand in between my legs, and I'm on my knees, and I'm just holding his head, and I'm rubbing it like this, because I have another little break. My midwife says, that's good, take your break, everything's okay, you know. And Aaron's just, you know, rubbing me, and my mom's patting me, and I'm still on my knees, and I just have my hand down, and I'm just rubbing his little head. And of course this was probably not even a whole minute, but in my mind, in my memory, it felt like a while. And I was not in pain, and everything was fine, and I could feel his little head. And then my next contraction came, and my midwife had told me, because there wasn't a lot of space because I was squatting on my knees, she said, you're gonna have to, you know, kind of push your butt back so he has room. So I put my hands down on the floor for a little bit so I could lean forward. So I let go of his head for just a minute, leaned forward, and give another push and his shoulders are born. And then she says, okay, one more push, you have your baby. So as I did that other push, I had one hand on the ground and one hand on him. And my midwife has a hand on him too, because one hand on a baby is not a lot. And so I'm holding, I don't even know, it was like his chest area I could feel, and push again, and his little feet came out. And with her help and my hand that's under me, I lift him up to my chest. And he's just the sweetest thing. And it was the best thing ever. And for 3 out of my 5 births after my baby was born, I didn't shed a tear. I was just, oh, they're here. But for some reason, my 5th and my 6th, I cried like a big old baby. I don't know if it's because their labors and births were faster, or what. But I pulled him up on my chest and I just start crying. I'm just happy. I'm not in pain. I'm not, well, I mean a little bit, I just had a baby. I'm overwhelmed with happiness that he's here and he's okay and I'm okay. Huh. Yeah. And that we did it, and we did it at home, and it was amazing. And yeah, and it was so nice, his labor. I was not poked, prodded, anything. I never had a cervical check. My midwife just kept saying towards the end when I was about to push, just listen to your body. You know exactly what to do. You do whatever you need to do. We're here. We'll support you. You just listen to your body. And it was just amazing. Huh. Collect myself here. Maybe you can see why I cried when he was born. I'm just a crier. I've turned into a crier these last couple of kids. And it was also amazing that my daughters, anyway, they were still behind me on the couch. They got to watch him be born. They weren't scared. They felt, you know, safe and secure. I actually have video though, right after he's born, when I bring him to my chest, they all, of course, like run around to the front to see the baby. And in the video, you can see Lissa crying because she's just so happy too. She wasn't scared. She wasn't upset. She was just so happy. And all the kids are just looking. And I'm just there with him on my chest, in my own room, you know, sitting there. And his placenta was my fastest birth placenta. I get him up to my chest and I'm still kind of boo-hooing and, oh, my baby, you know, and rubbing his little head, and he's just covered in all the good stuff. And rubbing his little head and kissing him. And everyone's just, Aaron comes around the back of me, and I have video of him rubbing my back and looking at Hudson. And but within just like, I mean, I know after birth your time frame is messed up, but this is like before I even had a chance to think. My midwife was like, Chelsea, I think your placenta is ready. And I'm like, what? And she goes, oh yeah, your placenta's ready, give a tiny push. And so I gave my tiny little placenta push, and it just plopped out. And it was the fastest. Usually, you know, good 20, 30, 40 minutes later that thing's coming out. And it plopped right out. And I always wait till their cord stops pulsating to cut it. But I mean, it happened so fast. It was born so fast, the placenta, and as soon as it was born, that thing just like finished its job, and Aaron was able to come and cut it, and we wrapped him up in his little towel next to me. I opened up my robe, put him on my skin, got his little towel on him, and then my robe over the towel, I think. And everyone helped me get up off the floor, and I felt okay. They of course helped me, but I got up off the floor, and my midwife's assistant had gotten my bed all ready for me to lay on, so everything was protected. So they get me into bed, they get me covered up, and my kids all crowd around on one side of the bed, and everyone's just looking and smiling and pointing. And Aaron's on the other side of my bed, just, you know, bent over, looking at the baby. And for 2 hours, we just lay in that bed, and my midwife, her assistant Brittany, and my mom. I mean, my mom comes and looks at him too because she's family and she does all that, but then she gives us our own little family unit minute. And anyway, they go over and sit on the couch in the den, so they're here and can be here if anything happens, but they go over to the other side of the room. This room's pretty large. And me and just, you know, Aaron and my kids are all on the bed for 2 hours. No one touches him, no one touches me. Well, she did come put a little thing on his foot to test his oxygen towards the end of that, or sometime during that time, I don't really remember. Yeah. But otherwise, he's just on my skin with our towel over us, and the kids all just oohing and on, and we're kissing on him, and Aaron's, you know, looking at him, and it was so lovely. And of course, the little bit after birth, those 2 hours, they feel like 30 minutes, but it was so nice to be at home. Even in the hospital, the one I went to, you get an hour after the baby's born to do skin to skin and nurse before they weigh them and measure them, which all happens in your room. So I really appreciate that about the hospitals I go to, or the hospital I've gone to in the past. But the 2-hour thing was really nice, and to be in my bed was really nice. He latched on really quickly. We got in bed, and within minutes he was latched on, and he nursed on both sides, almost nursed that whole 2 hours he was in bed. Can y'all hear him? And my mom came up next to me, I'm gonna cry again, and she tells me, "Chelsea, do you know what day it is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, the 12th. And she said, "It's Grandpa's birthday." And I start crying again. My grandpa was a very big part of my life, almost like a second daddy to me, until he passed away 6 years ago. Yeah. And so Hudson was born on his birthday, but what's interesting is my grandpa actually passed away on Liam's birthday. Not the day he was born, but his 3rd birthday is when my grandpa passed away. So I have 2 sons, and he passed away on one of their birthdays, and my other son was born on his birthday. So I don't know, I find that a little too coincidental. It is like sometimes life is just so bittersweet that it's just like, wow, how can that be? So, he was a good grandpa. Anyway, and then after those 2 hours were over, my midwife comes and she just joins me. She sits next to me on the bed. My kids moved down to the end of the bed, and she joins me on the bed, and Aaron's still standing on the side. Poor guy. I'm not realizing till now, someone should have brought him a chair. Set him down. Maybe he sat in the computer chair next to my bed. Maybe he did. I don't remember. My midwife comes and joins me on the bed and takes him over. Aaron cut his cord, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that when we were still on the ground. And my midwife comes over and weighs him in his little crocheted sling that one of my friends actually crocheted for her to use. My friend used her as midwife too. Weighed him, and oh yeah, he was 7 pounds and 9 ounces and 21 inches long. So he's kind of long and skinny. I feel like in pictures and on video here he looks big, but in real life he's not huge. He's an average newborn. Yeah. And he did not like it at all. And let's see what else. I think that's all. She weighed and measured him, and we didn't do his footprints that day. We did it when she came back for our 24-hour checkup. But yeah, I just checked him out. She listened to his lungs, of course, and his heart, and they, you know, felt on my uterus to make sure it was shrinking, and checked, you know, everything to make sure everything was good. And then they packed up, went home, said, "Hey, call me if you need me." But yeah, when he was first born, when I held him in my arms and put their little towel around him, he was perfectly fine until they opened up his towel to cut his cord. He screamed bloody murder. And then for his first 2 days of life, if you moved too fast, if you changed his position too fast, if you unwrapped his blanket too fast, he would scream, like painful. I thought I hurt him that first night in bed. When I went to move his towel, to, I think, hand him to the midwife, I thought I had hurt him, or I think it was to switch sides nursing. I thought I had like hurt him because his scream was so bad. But he just didn't like, I figured I didn't like being moved. So at night when I would switch him to nurse him and stuff, he would cry. But ever since that wore off, that first night and then that next day, he has been the most content little baby. So content. I did eat asparagus the other day and that made him gassy. So he was fussy. But otherwise he eats, he sleeps. When he's awake, he just stares at everybody. And he's smiling. That was a giggle. That was a giggle. Stares at everybody. He has the most content look on his face when he's awake. And sometimes if someone else holds him, he'll act hungry to get back to mama. And then I'll get him and he's fine. He's not hungry. He's fine. He eats like a champ. That first night, you always have so much adrenaline after a baby. I did not go to sleep until like 4 in the morning, even though he was born at 7:22. I also don't know if I said that. Newborn brain here, I can't think. He was born at 7:22, so my labor was from water breaking to him being born 6 hours, but from contractions to being born 5 hours. And from actual like painful, like I'm in pain, to him being born was about an hour, hour and a half. Huh. You gonna wake up? So anyway, but that first night I couldn't sleep, and he just nursed and nursed and nursed and nursed and nursed. Yeah. his first 3 days, because that's all he did. Now he's more got it settled where he's eaten a little bit. He takes a little bit of a break between eating. But he's just super content, and he's actually sleeping pretty good at night. He gives me about 4 hours. And then after that first 4 hours, he gives me 2 to 3 hours between the next feedings. Yeah. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Oh, you might be pooping. You might be pooping. Come here. Say hi, I'm Hudson. Hi, I'm Hudson. Say hi. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. I also want it for my memories. I am so glad I decided to have a home birth. I wish I could go back in time and have every single one of them at home, except for my one with preeclampsia. I couldn't have. But it was just amazing. And to be able to recover in my own home. And just everyone here was so supportive. My kids, my husband, my mom, my midwife, her assistant. I was just pampered, very pampered. In recovery, Aaron was great. He's not like he doesn't like blood and things like that very much, but he helped clean up. Did you scratch your face, Boo Bear? Don't do that. He helped clean up everything. He did great. And of course my midwives were cleaning up, but he would go along with them and just help and clean up and help me get out of bed that first night to get to the bathroom and change, and it was wonderful. And my mom, of course, was there. She helped me get cleaned up when I did finally get out of bed. She helped me, give me a little sponge bath and getting some jammies. Yeah, you want to eat? So anyway, it was just wonderful. And if you're thinking about doing a home birth, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend looking into it if you are pregnant at all. He's going to want to eat. It was so worth it. And I know you have to pay out of pocket. I would pay 5 times how much I paid to do that again. And if I ever have another baby, that is my plan again. Because I always say I'm done and then I have more. So we're just going to say, if I ever have more, that is definitely my plan. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to my story. I hope that when I watch this to edit it, I don't realize I left out any big pieces. I hope it made sense with my newborn mom brain. I hope I was coherent and it made sense for you guys. Anyway, I'm gonna go change this little guy's diaper and feed him. I really appreciate you guys sitting and listening with me. And thanks for watching and supporting and being so supportive after I had him to take my time getting back. He is 10 days old today. And we're just having a good time with him. He got out from the car for the first time yesterday. So it's been really nice to not have to go anywhere and have my checkups here at home and his checkups here at home. So anyway, I'll let you guys go. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all. Say bye, y'all. Bye, y'all. Yeah? You gotta learn how to say bye, y'all. Yeah?